People, we're back. It's 12th man. It's Gooner to Gooner. One of my favourites. Deluded back in the house. Back again. Bro, first of all, how the devil are you, man?
I'm good, man. One love for having me, Dan. It's always nice to chat to you. Not necessarily nice what we have to talk about considering the club, but it's always a nice little Arsenal chat or Arsenal therapy session, as you got it titled. Smash the like button, folks. Yeah, man. Love having me, Dan.
We need some therapy, bro, because outside of Arsenal,
Definitely.
the Europa League is looking a little bit nervy, bruv. So I wanted to ask you how you're feeling about that now that it's looking like United and Spurs have one foot in the final.
I mean, Dan, when you look at it, obviously you got your supporters cap on. Naturally, you're jealous because we've been quote unquote good or been competing for trophies in the last couple of years. As you know yourself, I would love to have been wrong, or maybe I don't know, but we've been left twiddling our thumbs while people are winning stuff. And that's one thing I have to give Man United. As rubbish as they have been across a domestic campaign, they still managed to make history and win trophies. Again, Liverpool have won the league. City potentially could win the FA Cup. Between Spurs and United, I'm going to go United all the way for the Europa League final. I mean, we hope we can come back from behind against Paris Saint-Germain, but bro, it's looking dark. It's looking scary, man. And naturally, there's going to be more pressure from our fans on our football club and more frustration, man. So disappointed, man. We have to turn the game around next week.
Yeah, we do. Big time. And before we come into that, the fans the other night, let me talk about that. What were your thoughts? Because a lot of people were saying the fans were rubbish. It was no atmosphere. It was dead. The tifo was embarrassing. The video was cringy from Mikel. Look, as much as I agree with the majority of that, it wasn't the best and it didn't look the greatest. Does that really have a massive hold over the actual end result to you?
No, it doesn't. Of course, in a game of small margins and definitely how the Emirates looked where Real Madrid's concerned, you obviously want it to be noisy and long term, we're never going to get it, but we're never going to be like Anfield away when people say that or St. James's Park. Naturally, you want Arsenal to be like that. But, bro, we've never been that club. Even Highbury was dramatically better than the Emirates. We've never been the biggest and baddest and noisiest of fans. And like you said there, once you're on the football pitch, it doesn't really matter. And obviously, I weren't at the game, but when I speak to the likes of Kenny Ken, DJB, Aaron, and the rest of them, they all have a very different kind of dynamic in relation to what actually how the fans were at the game and actually how the media is going on. Yeah, you mentioned it there. The tifo was absolutely abysmal. As Curtis said, pick him up. It looks like a bed sheet. It's horrible, but all that stuff superficial. What does that have to do with our structure off the ball, taking our chances, in-game management from Mikel Arteta, or just approaching the game in the best possible way? Had we have done all of that in an opposite world, then maybe I might look at the atmosphere. But unless I'm wrong, the fans aren't playing. And of course, Dan, I want it to be noisy, but I'm a big fan of fans are entitled to do what they want. If you've paid your money, you can do what you want to do in that ground. And yes, sometimes our fans need to give the players a bit of energy and vice versa. But I think the players have got to set the tone. Like you was at the Madrid game. I have no doubt the fans were rocking anyways. But when you see the way the players were moving, it gives you a couple more percentages. So if the players are acting nervous, of course we're going to be nervous. And it's even when I look at it again, I wasn't at the game, bro, but it's very contradictory, I feel, because some fans that were at the ground are saying, if anything, towards the second half, it kind of fell off and it was kind of jumping from the start. Now, if I go on what the media is saying, there was next to no atmosphere. But for me, Dan, it's irrelevant, bro. It's mad irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It is. It is mad irrelevant. I didn't understand why that was the focal point. Like when I was hearing neutral fans, rival fans, Arsenal fans mentioning it, I was like, well, the rival fans are just trying to have a dig. Some of the fans are just trying to twist the knife because the knife's already in. When I heard Arsenal fans blaming us over other stuff first, I thought, wow. Now, look, I'm one of the first people to say the fans were a disgrace when they were. The fans should not be doing that. I disagree with many fans that accept mediocrity and that say, oh, well, give it until next season. That's a different story. But when we're coming for our own atmosphere over the fact that it was poor, I was there at the game and I didn't think it was outstanding. But the first 15, 20, we got absolutely dominated and we were killed atmosphere-wise. Now, I know that's no excuse because fans should never allow that to get to the best of them. I sit in a position in the Emirates, which I'm very lucky with, where we're always quite loud. We stand, we don't sit. I'm at North Bank, I'm at Red Action, so it's really, really loud in the concourse and out on the stadium. But around it and the surrounding areas apparently proved that it weren't that great. And the PSG on the screen and on TV at home were a lot louder than us, right? So we got
like every week then.
Yeah, so we got a little bit screwed by that. However, I can't lie, bro. That did not piss me off the most. What pissed me off, the manager and the team. that was a hell of a lot more frustrating. From
Facts.
Martinelli and Trossard's missed one-on-ones to Ødegaard's individual performance to the lack of changes from the manager, the team selection, and lack of substitutions or willing need to change it up. That, for me, was what frustrated me more, man. So let me break some of those down because there's a lot there. I think we've got to start with our captain at the moment, EG. Brother, I hate doing it because I don't want to make him the scapegoat and I don't want to start turning out that this guy's a scrub and he can't play football because it's waffle. He can play football. We've seen it for the last 18 months, right? But I would say for the past 6 months, it's been nothing short of poor. And that performance individually the other night is one of the worst performances I've seen from him in an Arsenal shirt. And what was more disappointing was it actually mattered. When it mattered, I needed to see him. When we needed him, there was no leadership. When we needed him to drag us across the line with his quality, it wasn't there. He was pretty much invisible. Ghost of God, people are calling him. What is it with him at the moment, man?
Dan, I wish I had an answer for you, bro. I wish I had an answer. I wish there was stuff I could add on to what you just said there. I won't cut him excuses, but I will cut him the following. I genuinely think he's carrying something. You go to games, I've been to a few. I've been watching Ødegaard closely lately, and it seems off the ball he's not running naturally, if that makes sense. So I do think he's carrying something. That's not an excuse because at the end of the day, whether I think that or not, I don't know that. And it's not my job, quote unquote, to necessarily care. They've passed you fit. As you said, unfortunately, it's been 6 months. It's been on brand with Martin Ødegaard, and it's unfortunate. Once you cross that chalk, we need to see some influence. We're not seeing goals. We're not seeing assists. We're not seeing any kind of influence on the game. They're letting them passing by. The pressing, it's there, but it's not really there like shown with PSG. You're doing the very minimum to the point where it's like, if this was poor, yeah, you've gone down there now. I know you're not going to get dropped for the PSG game next week, but there's arguably a case of you need to come out the firing line now. You're underperforming. You're feeling sorry for yourselves. We can't carry passengers. As you've been saying there, like when we needed you, you wasn't there. This was our biggest game in 16 years. It's the semi-finals of the Champions League. It's trying to put a right over a wrong season. And it's abysmal. Like it just raises in question, Dan, like why we need competition in every position. And again, if Ødegaard's to get his form back, that's one thing. But if this continues, something needs to be done. Like it's all fun and games doing it against a 10-man Ipswich side or getting an assist against Crystal Palace, but we needed you. We needed you against Madrid. We needed you against PSG. And as you said there, I don't want to scapegoat him because I think we could have won regardless of Ødegaard's form? Yes, because he's been shit for 6 months, as you said, then we've managed to win games. I don't believe in blaming the atmosphere, but it's one where you've got an 18-year-old, 19-year-old in Miles Lewis-Skelly that's looking like more of a captain, whether it's the screaming and shouting, whether it's leading by example. We need something, and we're not seeing anything done from Ødegaard. And it's, in terms of the magnitude of the game, unfortunately, it is one of the worst pound-for-pound captain's performances. And I don't want to bring other guys into it. I think Martin Ødegaard's I think he's a good footballer, like what you said. I think he's a better footballer than Bruno Fernandes. But the one thing Bruno has is he's got mentality. He'll drag his team through the mud. I just think Ødegaard, I don't want to sound like Graham Souness, but unfortunately, he's soft. He's a soft touch. And another thing that annoys me is, and I know he's not a player with that, any little 50-50, any little bit of anything, can you lose out? So it's a shit show from Ødegaard, Dan, man. What can I say that you ain't said? It's horrible viewing. Horrible.
It's horrible. It's not good. It's consistently bad. My question to you now is he droppable now?
100%. Now, whether I think you're going to be dropped for PSG, no, because in Mikel Arteta's mind, I might not see it and all of those things, but he's still going to play. You got to remember, like in that game, we only made subs, and that's another thing I'm sure we'll get onto. We only made subs in the last 10 minutes. And the first sub was a defensive sub for Timber, who looked crackered out there. And then it was for Wanyeri, for Ødegaard. He's not going to change him. Whatever he deems Ødegaard is doing, he believes he's doing. He believes this version of Ødegaard gives him a lot more than any of the other options he has in the squad. So it's a bit like what me and you say, where it comes to, you know, what we should have done in the summer, what we should have done in January. I feel sorry for the fans. I feel sorry for actually Martin Ødegaard's teammates. But any kind of issues around depth and players losing form, Arteta and the recruitment staff, excluding Berta, they have to hold that, bro. They knew what time it was in the summer. They knew what time it was in Jan. They've got to hold that and find solutions. And 100% he's droppable. Is he going to be? I don't know. Probably for Bournemouth. But arguably, he needs to be taken out the firing line. Like, you just need to maybe just stay on the bench for a bit and just get out of it, because you're in a terrible spot, man. Horrible.
Look, man, I hate this because I really like the player, but he's really, really frustrating the life out of me now. His decision making, his lack of performances. I think there's two questions here for you, right? Is dropping him probably backhandedly the best thing he needs right now? And that's the way you give Rice the armband in the next couple of games, is just by dropping it. And if he is actually not 100% fit, what's he doing out there, DG?
What is he doing out there? I don't know. That's one thing I'll give him. If you aren't fully fit and you're still going out there, it's commendable on one hand that you're still trying. Obviously, this is just speculation. We're not privy. We're not seeing what's going on at London Coley and things. And then maybe we'll cut him some advantages. And I could say that is a captain in many ways. But on the other hand, it could be seen as negligence. You're putting a player out there that don't look like he's running well, shot on confidence, was playing poor kind of before the injury anyways, and he's still going out there for the firing line, knowing damn well that he's the captain, he's 26, he's not the poster boy of Arsenal, but he's quote-unquote one of the poster boys or the poster boys of the rebuild. So 100% he should probably be taking out the firing line. That's the last step. We've tried the whole playing you into form, giving you the luxury where you're playing poorly, and as I said, it's gone beyond that now. So you do need to get dropped, and indirectly you could give Declan Rice the armband. Like, I know Xhaka wasn't the flavor of the month, but there was a point where Odegaard was the captain. We all know Xhaka was the quote-unquote real captain or the real kind of leader, and that could be a way of getting Rice into it, if I'm honest, or several others. Like, yeah, Dan, man, like, he needs to come out the firing line. But do me and you really think he's getting dropped for PSG? Probably not.
No, facts, man. Facts. If he is getting injections, painkillers, if he's actually injured, if he needs an operation, I'd rather take him out the firing line completely.
Now,
yeah, we've got Ethan. It's not like we don't have anybody there. We could try and change formation if we absolutely had to, but I would rather do that than play Ødegaard continuously throughout these bad performances. It ain't
even
good for
Zinchenko, as crazy as it is, Dan.
Do you know what? It's a good shout. And there was someone said actually was like, if you don't want to play Ethan, you don't trust him yet as his age or off the ball, then Zinchenko technically at the moment is actually doing or would do a lot more, if not better, than what Martin Ødegaard is.
Yeah, but you know what they'll say, Dan, man. He don't do it off the ball. That's what they'll say with Zinny, but you got to use the other options. Like, there's nothing else, fam.
Bro, he didn't even try it, DG. That was the thing that frustrated me even more. I said this to Curtis and to Lee. If he would have started with that team, which was not a shock, by the way, when he did, and we lost the midfield, and in 25 minutes, he's like, we can't even get a kick. Let's change this up. And we ended up losing 1-0, and he's bringing on all he can. Tierney's coming on to try and create some crosses. Bringing on Zinchenko would have gone. We were just better. He tried all he could. I'm still not a believer, but you know what? He tried all he could. He didn't even try, bruv. It's just like, well, this is what we got. This is the best we can do. Oh, Timber's out. We'll bring on White. Right, what's next? Oh, 89 minute. We might as well bring on Ethan. How did he last 89 minutes? So for me, that's where I'm looking at Mikel Arteta now. Yeah, I'm looking at him thinking you're paid £15 million a year to make decisions. And those that are saying, what more could he have done? Well, I'll give you options. He could have brought Tierney at left back and brought Lewis Skelly into midfield. He could have got a straight swap for Zinchenko. He could have gone with Marino up top if he absolutely had to. And for me, should have done. There needed to be changes made. Now, if you don't want to do that and you don't believe that that's good enough, these are other options. I would not do these, by the way. But for mindset and for Mikel Arteta purposes, he could bring on his summer signing who's sitting on the bench in Raheem Sterling. Yeah, no one wants to see him, bruv. My point is he has options.
We have options.
That's
whether you want to use them or not, like, you have to use them. And again, you have to hold that. Yeah, we've been dealt a harsh hand with injuries and all of that stuff, but nobody is in that team, whether he's in the squad, whether he's bought them or not, because he doesn't believe in them. Now, we're not idiots. We know there's squad players, there's regulars. And as Dan said there, there's not options I'm necessarily going to do. But what else have you got? If you at least try something, we could have conceded another one. We could have scored one. There's many eventualities, but at least you tried. We reverted to type. And again, when you isolate, I think I said it earlier, when you isolate the fact that it's a semi-final, Champions League on the line, what you indirectly said about other clubs winning trophies, it's on brand with our season, bro. Like, the manager does not change anything until the game's more or less summed up with the last minute subs. He did kind of tweak the press, to be fair to him, early on, but in terms of major standout changes, he doesn't change anything. The Martinellis and Trossards missing certain opportunities. A bit of a brain fart in what led to the goal that we conceded from our perspective. Superb from PSG. Ultimately, football's won and lost in both ends. We didn't do enough defensively. We didn't do enough in the final third. We lose one player out this team because we haven't got a squad. In part, their absence is felt. Arteta does that thing where, rightly or wrongly, There'll be one issue, and then he'll move people about, like you saw with Rice going to the six, Marino back in midfield, and that has an impact on our side. So Dan, we've seen this all season, bro. We've been seeing this since August. We're in May now, and it's not going to stop. And that is something Arteta has to arrest. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible, and I see comparisons to last season, which is winding me up now. Because the comparisons to last season and the same stuff that he's doing is lack of trust of his players. Last season, he didn't trust Fabi Vieira, Smith Rowe, or Reece Nelson. This season, he doesn't trust Zinchenko, Sterling, or Tierney, which are his signings, by the way, other than Tierney, of course. Then you look at the scenario of dropping Havertz into the 8 against Villa and Bayern Munich. Now he's doing it with Marino, who, by the way, is an 8, but has done better as a 9. So there's so many comparisons to the wrongs that he did last season, which he's now sticking by and being stubborn enough to do again. Now, with Marino dropping in, I don't actually hate on that because that's supposed to be his position. I think he's been terrible for Arsenal there, and he was terrible again the other night. But at least I understood it because Partey was out and Trossard through the middle has been scoring goals.
No,
when you knew in the first 25 it weren't working, you had to switch it back up. Even if that means Trossard goes left and Marino through the middle, which I wouldn't have done because I think against Hakimi, Trossard's got no chance, right? But for me, you at least change something. He didn't change anything, bro. Lewis Skelly was the best player on that pitch for Arsenal. He was the one I actually looked at.
Once again,
you're the one who looks like he's going to drag us across the line here, and you're an 18-year-old, bro. What's happening? Like, real talk. Like, Rice was the best of a bad bunch. Saliba and Kivior didn't do much wrong. Skelly was one of the better ones. And then I think after that, everyone had a bit of a poor game. But, Turkish made a good point in that PSG game. Lewis Skelly actually tried something a bit different. He thought, you know what, right, let me come into midfield and put that ball through to Martinelli. And he goes through, he missed the one-on-one. Saka comes from the right-hand side over to the left, does an amazing little run, dinks it past 2 and crosses it. Martinelli, outstretched foot, just misses. Those are the moments in games where you think, right, ain't working. I'm going to take it on my own responsibility to drive
the game on my shoulders.
When does Ødegaard do that? Do you know what I'm saying?
He doesn't do that. I don't want to turn on the guy, but you don't do it. It's a mentality thing. You've got all the ability in the world, Ødegaard, and all of those things, but you just haven't got the bollocks to drag the team through the mud or be an ever-present guy. And maybe you're just a soft touch. Like, maybe you're just not the guy. Maybe you're putting boots that you can't fill. Maybe you need to come out the firing line. You're just unable to do it. Like you said, you got an 18-year-old in Lewis Skelly. And I'm not going to get at Ødegaard, but the way Lewis Skelly talks the talk and walks the walk and just wants it, maybe it's because of how he is as a person, how he's been brought up. Maybe it's because in a nice way, he's got that naivety as an 18-year-old in that he's not necessarily thinking, oh, there's pressure on the manager. The Arsenal have been trying to win stuff and whatever. I'm just happy to be a footballer, and this is a dream to be playing in a game of this magnitude. As you mentioned there, Saka as well. It's one thing how good you are at your best, but how good are you at your worst? Saka weren't amazing. You were still prevalent. I think Timber recovered well. I don't think he got terrorized by Carrot Skiller, but he was given a tough task. And even if people think he was rubbish, all right, that's one bad game for as many he's given us post ACL. As you said, Kivior and Saliba barely put a foot wrong. I do think towards the end of the game, Kivior started charging out of defense, but it's cool. I think you're trying to make something happen. David Raya showing more courage on the ball. Like, David Raya is showing more courage on the ball than Ødegaard. I do think tactically, Arteta had no answers. The way PSG pressed, the way they evaded our press, the way they limited our passing options, their interchange in movement. Apart from when he kind of tweaked things after the first 20-odd minutes where we went to a more 4-2-3-1, there was nothing really. So it's on brand. It's on brand with what we know, Dan. Whether it worked or not, we played on Tuesday. The week in the build-up to it, Arteta is clearly thinking of all the little isms and schisms he can do against PSG. Once we go into the game, if something goes left, he doesn't deviate against it. And that's for Mikel Arteta, forget Arsenal for a sec, to go to the next level. You've got to have an ability to do that. You look at what Luis Enrique said before and after the game, and actually the players of how they tweet things, how proactive he was with the subs. They actually, I wouldn't say we put them under the cosh, but when we quote unquote did, they did all right. Like, and that's the difference as a semi-finalist or kind of at this level. Then, like, there's no hiding spot. It's not good enough. You don't get away with these quote unquote cheap mistakes. And I know the players obviously are not going out there to lose or put in that performance. But when you do a lot of talking about bring your boots and the atmosphere and we want to do this, and even I don't want to get onto him, but Martin Ødegaard, you literally on Arsenal.com before the game, it says we can step up in big games. We might not mean you. And we have to be honest, you haven't done it. We're used to this. Even when Ødegaard's form was, a lot rosier than this, people were saying big games, what you want. And we're not seeing anything. We're not seeing you get on the ball. We're not trying to see you run the show. We're not seeing you put in tackles. We're not seeing you win duels. We're not seeing any consistent link-up play. This is on brand with where we're at as a club, man. And it's a shame. It's a shame that unless we turn this around, bro, in the last 3 years, we've had an opportunity to win the Prem. We've had an opportunity to win the Champs or get to the final at the very least. And we're probably the worst of the bunch, really. So we need to do a lot better. It is what it is, man. Like, Dan, there's nothing more I could say that you haven't said, that we haven't said throughout the year of this football season. It is what it is. It's a shame.
Max, it is a shame, but it ain't over.
It ain't,
And
no.
a lot of people are acting like it is. And I understand people are deflated. I am just as much as everybody.
Frustrated more than anything.
We can do it. But I have said all along, I don't think we will win the Champions League, and I stand by that. However, I have said I think we'll get to the final. And I hope I'm right about that and wrong about not winning it. Look, forget Barcelona and Inter Milan. It was unbelievable, incredible game of football. Lamine Yamal is different gravy. I don't worry about that yet. I'm worried about PSG away. Thomas Partey was a massive miss. Massive. Now that he's back, do you have the confidence that if the team is as selected as expected, with Marino back up top, with maybe Trossard dropped, Partey in midfield, Rice back into box-to-box, Lewis Skelly and Timber if he's fit, do you have the confidence we can have a repeat of Madrid and do a madness over there, bruv?
I mean, based on the Madrid game, they've given me confidence. Based on the fact that, you know, like you said there, Partey comes. I don't want to put all my eggs in the Partey basket because I do think naturally he's a big miss. And obviously Partey is better than Jorginho. And I'm not saying Jorginho wouldn't have been poor, but I think everyone forgets we actually could have dealt with him. That would have meant there was no moving parts. I do think fans, some have even blamed Partey for the game at the Emirates. Obviously he got suspended, but he played no part. Naturally, because it means Marino can go back up front where he's been finding his feet. It means Rice is back into his 8 where his performances have gone well. It means obviously Partey might even have a chip on his shoulder in that, you know what, I let my teammates down. We have an opportunity of a final. I'm 31 years of age. Let's go. But more than anything, Dan, I need to see a psychological change. You mentioned Madrid, the way they approach the game, professional job at the Bernabeu, galvanized at the Emirates. I'll be honest, it looked like stage fright at the Emirates. It did. And the only good thing I can say about that game at the Emirates is that it's only 1-0. All we can do is try and turn that game around, make Luis Enrique, when we dump them out, if we dump them out, come to rule the missed opportunities at the Emirates. Let's just go again, man. And maybe, you know, Mikel Arteta, you know, he likes to stick to his script. He's very peculiar. It's like, this is how I'm playing from minute 0 to 90. Thomas Partey is a spring in our step. It should also mean we could press well as well, because the pressing was dead. Like Ødegaard and Trossard, it's a half kind of press. They're beating the press. It's dead. Like, yeah, man, Partey makes me a lot more confident, but more than anything, I need to see us approach it different psychologically, Dan, man. That will do the world of good for me.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I really hope.
I
really hope and I pray, man. Like, I absolutely pray with everything I've got left that we get through. Look, I want to win it so badly. It's the Champions League. I've never seen it. Me and you want it badly. The one with the big ears. It would make the season incredible. But you know what? I hate to be the glass half full and have to give the option of this. If we don't win it, and we look at the other teams, real talk, that have won trophies or potentially could still win trophies this season, this could go down as the best if we win it. But surely this has got to go down as one of the worst, because Liverpool got Champions League football, trophy, Premier League title. Newcastle, trophy, Champions League football. Manchester City could get Champions League and an FA Cup in their worst season in the last decade. You've got Spurs and United in potentially a Europa League final, which would get them a trophy and Champions League football. Chelsea could get Champions League, but you know what? They could win the trophy and Conference Cup. Arsenal don't win this Champions League, and we end up just second again with nothing else to show for it and just Champions League. We've had potentially worse seasons than all of those clubs because they're all doing that apart from us. That can't happen, DG. We absolutely have to win this game. Now, Thomas Partey gives me the strength and confidence that actually we'll have a little bit more difference of opinion in our midfield in terms of how we might be able to dominate a bit more, because I thought Vitinha, Neves and Ruiz
ran the show, man.
Oh, bro. Vitinha, by the way, what a player. What a player. He's literally bopping it around on our carpet. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just embarrassing. So Rice and Partey need to turn up and have the games of their lives. But Ødegaard has to as well, because I think he is going to start. The front three, Marino, I thought he was excellent against Madrid. Obviously, Saka and Martinelli were too. And I actually think Marino made those two play a lot better. I think Trossard one of the PSG fans I know said, I can't believe you played Trossard through the middle when our weaknesses are our set pieces, defense-wise. We can't defend them. Mourinho would have caused us all sorts of problems if he was up top. And they were like, oh, thank God for that. He's not there. So that would happen again away. And then obviously at the back, we've got to keep it tight because if they score, it's going to be very hard. We need 2 just to take it to extra time, bruv. So what's your genuine thoughts on how we might go into this game? Do you think we'll go all out gung-ho? Do you think we'll keep it a little bit safe and balanced and try not to concede? Or do you think we'll just go, do you know what? Let's just roll the dice and go all out it against PSG.
I think we got to box smart, man. Like naturally, of course, you know, if football was an easy sport to predict, I want to come out fast, put them under pressure, quieten the fans, you know, call Donnarumma to make good saves, which he did at the Emirates. But through nothing of Donnarumma, I actually feel they're flattering Arsenal a bit with the way they're making out. He had a monster performance. Like we offered really nothing. It was just competent, big him up. I think we got to box smart, man. I know you said you don't want to talk about Barca and things like that. And evidently we're not Barcelona, but the way they speak about if we score, if we can see 2, we believe we could score 3. And even the way Inter Milan and Barcelona handled themselves mentally, especially Inter away from home, that's what you kind of want to see. I think PSG are an incredibly good side, but I think they will give you chances like they did against us and we didn't take them. That is how we have to approach it. I just want us to play the game, not the occasion. Like first 10 minutes, first 20 minutes, arguably, because they will probably give or take the worst of the worst. Let's approach that competently and see where it takes us. But me and you have been doing these streams for a while, and even when we used to just briefly just talk about the Champions League, I kept saying like I don't really fancy a trip to Paris. I don't fancy a trip to Paris, and it's funny how life works. We're gonna have to go there and do it. We're just gonna have to approach it smartly and big up PSG. But I mean, if you can approach the game at the Bernabeu, keeping your head in a certain way, you should be able to do it in Paris. But we have to box smart because what if we go gun-ho, they go down the other end, score? Unfortunately, we're an emotional side. I do think heads drop if they can see if we can see the second or one goal on the night. So I think just keep it tight first 20 minutes, see what you can do. I mean, Partey being back's great. And going back to what you said, Mourinho's the sort of guy that might just nick us something. And again, you never know. If we score in the first 10 minutes, it gets a bit different and it gets end-to-end. Of course, individual quality-wise, they cook us, but yeah, I think we got to box smart, man. We just have to arrive with the right mentality. To a degree, Dan, I don't think tactics and all of that plays a part now, man. I just think they've got to control themselves mentally. And I don't think we can afford to carry people. Ødegaard, you know, football's fickle. I don't think you would change many people's minds. But if you turn up in Paris, it goes a right way to shutting some people up. Like some United fans are probably slagging off Bruno. And now he's in a bit of a purple patch. They love him. That's just how football works. But Dan, it's like stepping into hell, man. Like it's a crazy spectacle, really. And the thing is, Luis Enrique's probably planned for every eventuality. The ball's in their court. As much as I'm saying, not necessarily be conservative, but box smart. If it stays 0-0 in the second leg, they're through. So it's one where I'm happy. Honestly, I'm not Mikel Arteta or all the players, man. But this is where. Do you remember we went out against Bayern Munich and we saw the articles about players with X factor and all of that kind of stuff? This is why you want one of those, because we could be crap. We might approach the second game crap, but they might just slap it in from 30 yards or a little mazy run results in the goal. It changes the dynamics. So let's just box smart first 20 minutes and see where it takes us. Of course, the longer the game goes on, the more we're going to have to pull forward, which obviously has a risk of us conceding on the other end. So it'd be interesting, Dan, man. Let's hope we get through, though, man.
Facts. I hope so badly that we do, man. I really hope so badly that we do. And I don't know, like, I don't want to do predictions because it's a bit too early. We've got Bournemouth first. We'll talk about next coming to. But, yeah, I would be very, very, very confident if we was to score early. But if they get that first goal, I think it might be tough. And do you know what? I'll say this lastly. If it goes to penalties...
Oh, Dan, man. Donnarumma, Raya, oof.
Well, one of them runs out the way of penalties. The other one saves them.
You know what? Give me penalties because that means we'll still be in the tie at some point, you know, to be fair.
I know that's true. But I don't know if my heart can take it, DG. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, it's the worst way to go out.
It's horrible, bro. It's horrible. But listen, we have got a game and we have to revert back to the Premier League. I'm not going to lie. I'll be lying to you if I said that this one is not particularly deflating. But Bournemouth, Newcastle and Liverpool with Southampton in the last 4 games. We've lost 2 of them, drew 1 of them, and then won 1. If we was to look at the reverse fixtures, that is. So we beat Southampton at home. We now have them away last game of the season. We have to go to Anfield, to the champions, to do a bloody guard of honour again.